All right, let's bring in our political panel. Former media advisor to Scott Morrison, Andrew Carswell, and former Queensland Labor Secretary, Cameron Milner. Welcome to you both. Cameron, let's start with the poll that your company, GXO Strategies, has done. It's shown that Anthony Albanese is on track to lose more than a quarter of his original voters at the next federal election. Talk us through it.
Well, Shari, most of the polls are showing not much movement in the primary vote since the last election. So we want to drill deeper. We want to understand what was really happening with the voters out there in Australia. And what we found was over 1 in 4 people have actually changed their mind away from Albanese in just 2 short years. And then we went further to understand why. And we asked them what they thought of Albanese as the leader. And they said he was weak, useless and a liar. That's what 2,000 Australians said to the Prime Minister. 3 in 4 also said he was doing nothing about the cost of living. And so the critical #1 issue for voters, he's not doing enough on, and they don't trust him to be able to do the job either. And a worrying sign for Jim Chalmers, 79% of respondents said that they didn't think tomorrow night's budget would do anything to ease their cost of living pressures. So we're in a crisis right now on cost of living with an untrusted, unliked Prime Minister as Labor's main vehicle for sending their message out there, and voters who just don't think Labor's doing enough on the #1 issue. That's what our polling found, Shari.
Andrew Carswell, I just had the Treasurer on my show. He said that he is planning strong cost of living relief in tomorrow's budget. Obviously, this is going to be a delicate tightrope to make sure that the relief is targeted enough that it won't push up inflation. Do you think that will be a risk?
Well, it's a huge gamble, Shari. And what we heard from the Treasurer tonight is that he is taking a big risk here by lowering the expectations on inflation well below what the RBA will say. And this is a risk for 2 reasons. The Treasurer assumes that the cost of living measures in his budget tomorrow will put downward pressure on inflation, and particularly headline inflation, which is his preferred measure. And that will lead to a lowering of interest rates. But the problem is when the RBA gathers to consider monetary policy and the setting of interest rates, it doesn't really look at headline inflation. It looks at trim to mean inflation, which is inflation stripping out all those short-term volatile measures that impact cost of living up or down. What do you think is in his budget tomorrow that impacts that are volatile short-term measures that impact on cost of living? His entire cost of living package. So he says it's going to be putting downward pressure on inflation, and the RBA says, well, we're not even going to consider that in our calculations. And the second thing is this core belief that these measures will actually put downward pressure on inflation. And you have a look at whether it's relief for renters or it's relief for those who have excessive energy bills. To make that assumption is to believe that the people getting this relief will suddenly not spend the money that's been freed up in their budget on other areas of the economy. They won't save that money. That is the assumption here. That is a huge assumption to make in the middle of a cost of living crisis when there are bills to be paid.
Yeah, well, I asked him about that when it came to the energy relief, that, you know, it will bring down one component of the CPI, but is he worried that people are going to spend that money elsewhere and thus push up inflation? He was confident that wouldn't happen. What do you think, Cameron Milner?
Well, I think it's a huge risk. I think it's a huge risk and only time will tell. But if the RBA raises rates, Labor is gone. If the RBA goes up, Labor is out.
You think that people will directly blame the government if the rates go up?
Absolutely, on their watch. Absolutely. Shari?
Yeah. What do you think, Andrew Carswell? I mean, the first interest rate rise was when you were in government, was when Scott Morrison was Prime Minister.
Well, I think the issue that the Australian people have with this current government is the issue of competency. They've proven to be incompetent on so many levels, but the economy has been the one thing that they've managed to do okay on, and that's all credit to Jim Chalmers on that. So if they fail that test of competency on the economy, gone.
I mean, Cameron, very quickly, you know, we are seeing in every other policy area just these radical proposals. Chalmers is the only moderate figure. You've got 10 seconds.
Oh, look, and thank goodness we've got Jim Chalmers there, because the left are in control of so much other agendas with this Labor Albanese government.
Yeah, which we've been absolutely smashing them on night after night. Andrew Carswell, Cameron Milner, I'm so sorry it was so quick tonight.